Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pete Costanas. This is episode 123, 123, just like the beginning of the Wilson Pickett song. And today's date is April 24th, 2022. And today is Easter for me. So, to all my Greek friends and family and people that I know, Christos Anesti. Christ is risen. And happy Easter to all of you. And I'm sure it'll be a beautiful Easter. Today's program, I will talk about the 55th anniversary of the 1967 tornado that hit Oakland, Illinois, and also hit other parts of that state as well. But Oakland was hit the hardest. It really was. And also, I will talk about Crown Books, that bookstore. A lot of people forgot about that place. And last time we'll talk about actor Robert Morse. He was a wonderful actor. I will talk about my memories of him, and he was a very gifted actor, wonderful man. He died at the age of 90, and so we have an interesting show coming up. First off, a commercial break, and this program is brought to you by Palmolive dishwashing liquid. And this commercial is from 1978, and it features Madge, the manicurist. I love those commercials. She was hilarious. So, here we go.
Madge, the hands fell off this cloth.
Ah, you should be so lucky.
Oh, why don't I try for these?
Try everything and use Palmolive dishwashing liquid. It softens your hands while you do the dishes. You're soaking in it.
Dishwashing liquid?
It's Palmolive.
Mild?
More than mild. Makes heaps of suds that last. And like I said, Palmolive softens hands while you do the dishes.
Madge, I'm cuckoo over Palmolive.
That makes two of you.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Palmolive Liquid. The actress who played Madge, the manicurist, her name was Jan Miner. And she was a very good actress. She was on radio, television, film, stage. She did it all. And but she was well known for that commercial. She really was. She did a few acting roles on TV, few in movies. Like, for example, in the movies, The Swimmer, Endless Love. You know, my brother just saw that movie about a week ago. I didn't even notice she was in there. And the last movie she was in was Mermaid, starring Cher and Winona Ryder in 1990. And she played a Mother Superior. And she did a lot of TV shows, a few. And she died February 15th, 2004, excuse me, at the age of 86. So her commercials live on. You can find them on YouTube. And also the dishwashing liquid is still around, but they come in different types, or like lemon, orange, but it used to be green. That was the standard one. And she started doing the commercials since the 1960s. So a lot of people who watch television in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, they remembered her. Okay. At the beginning of the program, I talked about, which is Easter today. And usually I go to church on Holy Saturday. That's the resurrection, but I'm still not feeling well. So I've decided not to go. It's too much. So that's why I'm doing a podcast. Give you time for that. And I have the whole house to myself. So anyway, so I'm going to talk about the 50th anniversary of the 1967 Oakland tornado, also actor Robert Morse, and Crown Books. I will talk about the tornado first. When this occurred on April 21st, 1967, I was living in the South Shore neighborhood. And I asked, before I was going to do this story, I asked my mother about her memories of that, and she told me, and this was very interesting. We were at a restaurant that was on the corner of 75th and Exchange. That's like, there were two of them. One was like in each corner, two of them on the corner, but there was the one that's after the railroad tracks. And it was a nice day, and all of a sudden it got windy and the sky turned green green gray like that. My mom was scared to death, and it would get very high. And it was me, my brother, and my mom was pregnant. She had my little baby brother, and he was born in June. This happened in April. Luckily, we lived about a block away, to the apartment. So we managed to get through home, and it started raining like cats and dogs. It was really hard, and we were drenched. And I don't really remember much of it, and my other brother didn't either. But my mom told me the story. And then we arrived to the apartment to go upstairs, and she put us in the bathtub, and we took off our clothes, and she wiped us up, and she wiped herself. It was a mess. It was horrible. It was a horrible day. And it was scary. It was scary. And that tornado was started in Belvedere, then it went to Lake Zurich, Illinois, and then it finally arrived in Oak Lawn, Evergreen Park, Southside area. And they noticed it in Joliet, but then it was heading that way. And then when the tornado was approaching, it hit Palos Hills, and it knocked down all the trees and the telephone poles, and a lot of homes damaged. And they damaged the drive-in theater, which I think is the Starlight Theater in 95th and Ridgeland. Now it's the Chicago Ridge Mall. And after that, the hardest hit area in Oak Lawn was at 95th Street and Southwest Highway, where Oak Lawn High School is. I don't live too far from there, and it was devastating. It really was. It really was bad, and it damaged the high school and surrounding buildings and all that. And I remember there was a Red Barn restaurant across the street. And I remember people remember that. There's pictures of that on Facebook if you could find them. There's a Facebook group called the Oak Lawn 1967 Tornado, or Tornado 1967, whichever it is. And it killed people also at the Oak Lawn roller rink. Yeah, that was at 92nd and Oak Lawn, in Cicero, excuse me. And there was a McDonald's across the street. That's been there for years, but they remodeled it. But yeah, they destroyed it. It was bad. And then the tornado and then it went all the way down to my old neighborhood, South Shore, and then it went to Rainbow Beach, and it turned into as a waterspout, and it caused it destroyed 152 homes, damaged about 900,000, and cost $50 million in damages. And that was awful. Like that was terrible. And I found a newspaper on eBay, I believe, and it was from the Chicago Daily News. That ceased public operation a long time ago, and I found that. But I also had a copy of the Chicago American newspaper. They covered that, and it killed 33 people. Devastating. That was devastating. Yeah. And people will never forget. 1967 was a crazy year for weather because a few months prior was the blizzard, in January. Woo, crazy. That was unbelievable. Unbelievable year for weather-wise. And, to this day, people are still talking about it. They really are. That's catastrophic. Okay. Next up, I'm going to talk about actor Robert Morse. And he died April 2022. April 20th, that is, excuse me. And he was born May 18, 1931. He was from Newton, Massachusetts. And he did everything: television, Broadway, movies, mostly stage work. He did that. But a lot of people remember him from Mad Men. That later series, and I never seen the series. Maybe I'll buy the DVD. I want to watch that because it looks very interesting. And his character was Bertram Cooper. He played in that role. And my memories of him was a movie that he did, and they showed it on WGN TV Channel 9 in Chicago called, wait, I'll get it up. Always do that. A Guide for the Married Man. And The Guide for the Man came out in 1967, of course, and it starred Walter Matthau, Robert Morse, and Inger Stevens. She's famous for The Farmer's Daughter. That was a TV show. Tragically, she committed suicide in 1970. Very pretty lady. I remember watching the series on Channel 9, the reruns. I wish they bring that back. And I don't want to spoil the movie, but this is what the plot is that Walter Matthau's character he witnesses his friend cheating on his wife. And then he gives he gives the history of tactics of men how to commit adultery, which is interesting like that. I don't know. I was a little kid when I watched it. It was very interesting like that. The good thing about this movie, it had a lot of cameo appearances. A lot of actors were in this movie. Though you felt well known from television and movies. And there was Lucille Ball. She was in that movie. And Art Carney played her husband. You know, you have Lucy Ricardo or Lucy Carmichael with Ed Norton. That would have been it. I remember that. And there was also Jack Benny, Polly Bergen, Sid Caesar, Wally Cox. There was Jane Mansfield, Louis Nye, Carl Reiner was in it, Phil Silvers, and a lot of them, a lot of actors. And it was good. It made good box office receipts, did very well. And I watched this a few times. It was a very fun movie. And Robert Morse was good in that. I loved it. He was a very funny man. And I remember from his appearances on Love of American Style. Yeah, he was in that. I remember that. And but that movie, I haven't seen it in years, and I like to see it again. If it's on TCM, maybe I'll try to find it and record it. Other movies he did that are well known was The Boatniks. There was that Disney movie, and did others like that. And his famous role was he did for the American Playhouse production of Truman Capote. And I never seen it, but I heard he was wonderful. He played that on Broadway. He did that. He was amazing, from what I heard. Amazing, very talented man indeed. You know, and I also, yeah, he did a lot of television as well. What I remember, one TV show he was in was Night Gallery, and that was an episode with it was called Marmalade Wine with Rudy Valley. It was a very short segment, and he was very good in that. And because they both starred in a Broadway stage together, so that was like that. And he also did the cartoon voices and all that, and so he was a very busy guy, and unfortunately, he died at the age of 90. And they lived a long life, and had 5 kids. So all the greats are gone; they're leaving us. So that's a shame. Okay. Next up, I will talk about Crown Books. Now, Crown Books. When I posted this today, a lot of people think it was from Chicago. Well, they had stores in Chicago. It was founded in Washington, D.C. But it's spread in Chicago and other parts of the country like wildfire. So, and it was a very good company, very good bookstore. I liked it a lot, and it was very not expensive. Not really. Not like Crocs and Bertanos, which was located in Swabash on Wabash Avenue in Chicago in the Loop. Also B. Dalton. And then Borders came, Barnes and Nobles. Barnes and Nobles is still there, thank God. Love bookstores. Anyway, Crown Books was founded by a man named Robert Heft. And he borrowed it from his father, Herbert Heft. And they were under an umbrella of a company like Track Auto, Shoppers Food Warehouse, and Dart Drug. They're East Coast chains like that. And his campaigns Um, Robert Half will be sitting. You remember the commercial for his advertising? He was sitting in a large stack of books, saying, "Books cost too much," like that. And it was a hit. They grew and grew, and then they opened in Chicago, probably in the '80s, I would imagine. And they not only Crown Books, they had Super Crown Books, and that supplemented a lot of greeting cards, computer software, GIF items, not just books, but Crown Books just had books. And so that took off. And I remember I have the locations of that, but I will go into that in a second because I found a commercial that shows Robert Half, and it's a commercial from 1987, and he is the spokesman for Crown Books. So here we go.
Books cost too much, so I opened Crown Books. Now you'll never have to pay full price again. A Day in the Life of America or the Soviet Union, both amazing photographic achievements from the world's best photographers, just $25.97 each. And The Wall, an intensely emotional book with powerful photographs, a moving testimony to Vietnam veterans, just $16.22. We have over 10,000 books to browse through and hundreds of magazines. So remember, if you paid full price, you didn't buy it at Crown Books.
Okay, I am back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the commercial for Crown Books. I'm going to tell you something funny. When I see, what's his name? Robert Half. I forgot his name. Isn't that terrible? So Robert, who he reminds me of? He reminds me of that actor, Adrian Zemed from T.J. Hooker. He's got the hair and the face. But Adrian Zemed is a wonderful actor. I like him a lot. He's from Chicago, and he's got the '80s hair. Like the Dynasty era. Era that is. Excuse me. And there's a picture of me floating around the house that I look just like that with that hair. I'm going to find it one day. Maybe post on Facebook. It's kind of funny. Anyway, back to Crown Books. I found an ad, and it showed the locations at the time, and this was from November 22nd, 1994. And I will read of the locations in Chicago that are Crown Books, okay? And I'll go real quick. There was Buffalo Grove, Deerfield, Evanston, Hardwood Heights, Highland Park, Lake Zurich, Mount Prospect, Niles, North Riverside, Round Lake, and at the Toohey at the Edens Expressway, West Dundee. West was Bloomingdale, Downers Park was Downers Grove, I believe. Elmhurst, Hinsdale, Hoffman Estates, Naperville, Western Springs, and Wheaton. South Side was Calumet City, Chicago Ridge, Homewood, Madison, Oak Lawn. I'm sure there was Crown Books at Chicago Ridge Mall, and I remember the one in Oak Lawn. That was at 87th and Cicero. Remember that. And in Chicago, in the city, there was in Old Town, Six Corners. Then it was at 201 West Jackson Street and 309 West Washington and 26 North Wabash. So that was near Crown Books. It was right near B. Dalton and Crockett Bertanos. Now, the Super Crown, there weren't that many locations, so I'm going to read them off. There was Arlington Heights, Skokie, Vernon Hills, Donata Square, that's in Wheaton, Downers Grove, so they got two of them, Downers Grove, Naperville, River Forest, Schaumburg, Orland Park, I remember that store, Diversey, I don't know where in Diversey, probably near Lakeview, I guess, and Clybourne and Sheffield. And in the Loop, it was 105 South Wabash, another one, and at the LaSalle Bank Building, downtown. Okay, so that's it. Anyway, it became very successful, very rare. And then all of a sudden, everything fell apart. And there was a divorce between Robert Half's father, Herbert, and his wife. And so Robert was against his dad. So that's probably what happened. He was with his mom. And he tried to replace him as head of the Crown Books. And that went on for about a year between the fall of 1993 to the summer of 94. Oh, boy, that was bad. And then he was fired. And then he was gone. And then apparently they closed the stores later on, probably late 90s. It wasn't the same anymore. And they went to court for the divorce, and then they sue, then they counter sue, and what a mess. It was like, ugh, And then they filed for bankruptcy. And then they emerged from bankruptcy in 1997. Then it went back to 98 for bankruptcy by another company. And they closed all those stores and they replaced them with other type of bookstores. I don't remember which one. So they were gone. And then the liquidation was done in July 2001. So that was that. That was that. Not anymore. And then around 2001, there was a private bookseller called A&S Booksellers, and they bought the name, the Crown Books, and they applied it to some of the stores, but that didn't last long, And then Books A Million took over some, and they're still around, and there's a few like that, and that was that. That was the end of Crown Books. That's a shame. It really was. As for Robert Half, he became an entrepreneur in healthcare. And, he's keeping a low profile. You don't see him around, And he's like a nice guy. He really does. I guess he got into a web of deceit, and what a mess it really was. So that's a shame. It really was. Okay. So, like I said before, I love the store. I really did. I bought a few books from there. The one at 87th and Cicero, also at Chicago Ridge Mall. Remember that. They had some great titles, really, and discount prices, just like he said on the commercials. Okay. So that'll be all for today. I talked about the 55th anniversary of the 1967 Oakland tornado. I talked about actor Robert Morse, and I talked about Crown Books. So that's a wrap up for episode 123. Thank you for joining me. This is Pico Stein as your host. I will publish this episode soon. I'm going to spend the day recuperating, resting, that is, and celebrating Easter with my family. It's going to be a beautiful day. Really was. So the next podcast episode will be sometime next week. We'll see. So again, this is Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. Everyone have a good night, a good day, and I will talk to you soon. And here's Ray Rayner with a little traveling music saying bye-bye, everybody. So long. Take care.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.